How they gonna keep Kyrie ain't gonna come back? He ain't playing no
Oh,
more.
he shouldn't. He shouldn't.
No, he shouldn't. But the way they was acting like he was, and I'm like, he shouldn't because what's going on with the injury to be safe. But the other thing is, they done all the damn bad mistakes they made. Why would you?
Yeah, they're not going to win anything this year. They're not even going to be in
Yeah,
the playoffs. So why would he
yeah.
come back?
And truth be told, shit, if I'm him, I might be saying I'm trying to get up out of here anyway.
Yeah, yeah, because Jason Kidd is dead set on making Cooper Flag the point guard.
Yeah, so I'm like, but if you don't come back, you got the whole rest of the year. You ain't got to worry about it. And then if it comes up and you decide on your own that I might want to get up out of here. That's a whole different thing. You ain't disrupting nothing. You just because right now that shit is all messed up.
Welcome to the squad. He's Icewater from Columbus. I am Puma from Chicago. And this is sponsored by Rayon Cognac. Join the movement. Check out the website. Call us at the number if you would like to be a sponsor of one of our shows. Man, we're going to be talking about college basketball, NBA news. We're going to talk a little bit about the Olympics, also what's on your mind, and then we'll have our last second shot. But yesterday, man, I want to mention some of these games, bro. I want to mention some of these games. I had a chance to watch Illinois, UCLA, and it reminded me of Tyus Edney. The last second shot, they just ran through Illinois and just got that much needed win to try to get into the big dance. You had Arizona at Houston, and Houston, to me, every time the coach wants to press that gas pedal to get his team to go, they just won't go. Arizona tops them. UConn gets by Villanova. Of course, Michigan falls down to Duke. I expect Duke to be the number one team, followed by Arizona at this particular point. But let's go into the rankings because I know you're eagerly awaiting the rankings. I don't even think I should give the rankings right now because they're going to change. They're going to change this Tuesday based on the top four teams playing. And also Iowa State, Purdue. I really like what Purdue did to Indiana watching that game. But your eye test on college basketball.
A lot going on from that standpoint of we saw as you mentioned, the two big games with Arizona versus Houston, and then you saw Duke and Michigan. The Duke Michigan game, as we stated earlier, the one thing I noticed was the factor that Duke played more like a team to me in that game. Played more like a team where Michigan was like, look, seemed to be as if they had the talent, we're better, we're more equipped than you, we are the better athletes. And is that really true? Not really sure. But I think Duke played more like a team, which allowed them to gain the victory. And I think the factor that Michigan struggled a lot, they struggled a lot with trying to get good guard play. They had guards that were missing shots. They turned the ball over a lot. And Duke just kind of buckled down and said, hey, we're going to do just enough to win this game. And I think that's how they came out from that instance. Then when you looked at Houston and Arizona, Arizona lost a few key people, but they had a guy come off the bench that had an amazing game. But Houston was just off. They couldn't get things off. They need to, as you said, when they try to press on the gas, like even with the big center, they have a couple of centers that just didn't really step up. The guards were missing shots. And I think they kind of relied a little bit on the factor that they were undefeated at home since they joined the Big 12. And that kind of went out the door because Arizona really came to play. So I saw it from that standpoint. Then you look at some of the other games that came off across from the standpoint of Arkansas had a big win. They put them to 20 wins. And that's going to be very helpful when you start looking at their resume moving forward. We're trying to get into the tournament. Then you saw some other teams that kind of fell a little bit off from the standpoint when you look at USC that was shocked by Oregon and they had lost earlier to Ohio State. I thought they were going to be a team that with a couple wins would cement themselves in a tournament, but they're falling backwards a little bit. And what's going on with UConn? UConn, we know they're going to be in the tournament, but when it comes to the seeds, and they won a big game, but then they lost one prior to that. I'll say this: I think there's going to be a lot of movement, going to be a lot of back and forth because teams are showing you that they can be vulnerable at certain times. So that means I mean, right now, are you saying Duke is the number one team and they're going to be more dominant? But during and they can they win 6 games in a row? Who's going to be that team that you feel comfortable to say, oh, they can win the 6 games that it takes to win the national championship? Is there one team right now that you go, oh, I really believe in them?
No, I don't think so. And speaking of that Michigan Duke game, it seemed like Duke knew that they didn't have all the horses to run with Michigan. Michigan has a solid bench. They can run all night, but Duke controlled the tempo. I thought Michigan felt like they can go up against Boozer head up, and that didn't work. They got their big man. Duke got Michigan's big man in foul trouble. A number of people were in foul trouble. And I'm surprised teams aren't taking a page from North Carolina on how to beat Duke. You got to double Boozer, especially in the second half. You got to double him. And they controlled the tempo. They would not let Michigan just run up and down the court and win by 30 plus on a team. They just would not let that happen. So they did a good job of controlling the tempo. BYU shocked me because they beat Iowa State and they beat them by 10. And BYU was on their way out of the top 25, in my opinion. And Iowa State, this was your chance to put a beat down on BYU and solidify your spot, maybe as one of the top 4 teams. I know UConn lost, but they beat Villanova, and they're hanging in at number 5 right now. But Gonzaga, don't understand what's going on with them. Last week I made a mistake and kept saying Santa Barbara, Santa Clara out of that conference. And so I was talking to Pop about it a little bit earlier about how those 3 teams, St. Mary's, Santa Clara, and Gonzaga, I think are deserving to be in the tournament, but I think only 2 will get in that tournament because they're probably considered mid-majors at this particular point. But you have a lot of mid-majors. You have Miami of Ohio, who's still rolling on. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. I got a chance to see them once or twice this year. They're really good. But you're right. It's a lot going on. There's a lot of changes going to happen. All of a sudden, Alabama's playing out of their mind, beating LSU. You have a lot of teams who are really trying to get in their spots. You got Louisville. You got Nebraska still rolling on. You have Tennessee that beat Vanderbilt. So a lot of folks that aren't ranked are building their resumes, beating ranked teams to try to get into the tournament. And I don't envy the committee's job at this particular point on who's in and who's out. And so you heard me say it every year. They might need to expand this a little bit. I'm sorry. I gotta do it. I gotta do that politicking. They may need to expand it just a tiny bit because you got too many teams out there. You got Virginia that just got by Miami of Florida, and they're a good team. They're a good team. And your boys, we talked about last week, you're like, no, I don't think they'll win because they ain't at home. Pop Kansas in Kansas. So, I mean, beat them down in Kansas, not just, a last second shot. Beat them down in Kansas. And you had their coach frustrated, Kansas coach self-frustrated at the end of the press conference talking about, I don't want to talk about that. It was like, he was frustrated. You should have been because your team laid down and Cincinnati took it to them at home.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. And there's no excuse about the Kansas star not playing. He played as much as he played in a
Yep.
long time. But there's something about 2 dudes, one named Day Day and Baba. Day Day and Baba for Cincinnati. It was like taking no prisoners. I just wish they could win more games because you do not want to play them at home. And apparently now when they want to play, you don't want to play them on the road either.
No.
They handle business. Kudos to Day Day and Baba. Day Day and Baba got it done for the Cincinnati Bearcats.
So we're not even gonna do the rankings this week because they're gonna change based on yesterday. Yesterday was I think that was the second time in history where the top 4 teams played each other this late in the season, and it just gives you a preview of March Madness. So if you're not doing your research and your homework, you better start. And I don't even think it matters at this particular time because any given day, a top 10 team goes down. But what really hurt me, I got to mention this: Texas Tech and Toppin going down. That really hurt me because quiet as it's kept, bro, I had them as my team in the Final Four because I think they beat Michigan, Duke, and Arizona. And so
And Houston. And Houston.
and Houston. One of those teams they didn't beat, but they beat like some top teams. And when I saw him go down, I started to text you, but I couldn't put my fingers on the phone, bro. I'm like, oh Lord, no, 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 no. And you hate to see that, man. You want to see these guys because a lot of people didn't know about Toppin.
Yeah.
And March Madness is a time where you get to know players, you get to see them. And I was looking forward to seeing him because that dude could jump out the gym. He's athletic. He was the leader in that team. And the team is still rolling on because they put up 100 spot on the next team, but I don't know if they can sustain it. But your thoughts, man, because I'm like, that was one of my teams. I don't care where they were placed. They were coming out of there, and they were going to be a Final Four team.
Yeah, I had to admit that after they beat Houston, I went back and looked at some few things, the way they competed and the way they go after. And then I think the way that I saw that the guard was shooting, and that I think the last game they won when they beat, it might have been Houston, where they had that 1-2 punch. They were very impressive. I was like, wow. So I won't know. I don't know if I went Final Four. Depends on the bracket, right? I might have, but when I heard, in fact, my brother called me and says, "Did you see what happened to Tobin?" I said, "What? He good. They just won, right?" He goes, "Nah, they just had the MRI. He's done for the year." I said, "Oh no." I will say this. You did not want to see them because
No.
more than likely they probably would have got a 3 seed, something like that, 3, 4 seed, and they would have been hell on wheels because they have no reason. They were not afraid. They had no reason to fear anything, and they just come out playing hard as hell. And now you end up with a future NBA basketball player in regards to Toppin, and they were ready to go. So yeah, I'm with you. I was secretly watching from
Yeah.
behind the shadows. I didn't want to tell you anything because I know you liked them a lot. My brother did too, and I was like, oh, here they go with this bull stuff. And then I said, here they go. So I didn't say anything, but I was watching them very closely, and I'm like, okay, they do look good in the top, and I was like, man. So
Yeah,
now the question is, do you still believe? Do
yeah,
you still believe?
yeah. Because after last week's shows, I started looking at the schedule and who they beat. And I'm like, they beat like the top 5 teams, or the top 3 teams, the top 4 teams at the time. And I'm like, and not only beat them, but put a whooping on them. And I'm like, okay, this guy, why aren't they ranked higher? And so I was just wondering that. But I'm like, when we were talking about sleeper teams last week, I'm like, yeah, this is a team that many people aren't talking about. But when he went down, my heart just sank, man, and I just felt
Oh,
for him,
yeah.
bro. I'm like, oh, now I got to do more research because now I got to find another team. But you know, prayers to the brother, man. Hope Texas Tech keep playing hard, keep playing hard. We're still watching you, and man, Toppin, best of luck, man, with that injury. All right, let's go to the NBA. And we have the Pistons leading the Eastern Conference. They put a beat down on the Knicks recently, followed by the Celtics, the Knicks number 3, the Cavaliers, who are 9-1 in their last 10. Wait until Mongo Slade shows up in the playoffs, folks. That's all I got to say. Wait until Mongo Slade, aka James Harden, shows up in the playoffs. You will see why all those teams kind of let him go easily before he came to Cleveland. You have the Raptors number 5, Sixers number 6, the Heat number 7, and the Magic number 8. In the Western Conference, you still have the Thunder, who are leading about 2.5 games in the Western Conference, followed by the Spurs, the Nuggets, the Rockets, who the Knicks came back on last night. The Lakers still hanging in there, 6-4 in their last 10. The Timberwolves still hanging in there. Brooks goes down for the Suns last night. They're number 7. And the Warriors are hanging in there at number 8. Clippers, I watched them against the Lakers. They look naked now because they don't have they don't have a star player, and James Harden left them high and dry. Your eye test on the NBA, man.
Yeah, a lot going on, as you mentioned before. I know you say don't get excited about Cleveland, but hey, you went 7 straight. You at least gonna take a look at them, take a
Yeah, yeah,
gander
yeah.
and see. You just gonna look at them. But Detroit's won 5 straight. I like that team. If they can just keep everybody together, I think they're just young, and it's good to learn how to win and be consistent with that winning. So I like that from that standpoint. Also, too, in the West. What can you say about San Antonio? 9-1 in their last 10 games. They won 8 straight as well. Minnesota won 3 straight. So it's good to see after the trading deadline, our teams have moved around and done some things. Like I saw where your buddy, your guy Matherin is over with the Clippers, and he's been balling lately a little bit. So keeping him on the low end from that standpoint, he's been playing strong ball. And when you watch these teams, you say, okay, and it's hard not to watch Washington, right? Because when they make the change, and Anthony Davis is not playing no right now, neither is Trey Young. They still are playing competitive basketball. So you kind of watch that, and then you wonder, from my standpoint, is with the trades that they made, and probably won't last because of the off season. I really like what they've done. I'm not sure how you can hold on to it. I really like some of the moves that Utah has made. I really do. If there's a way to re-sign Jaren Jackson, you
Mm,
do it. You do it because Jaren Jackson, Ace Bailey, right? There's Bailey's coming along. You still got some other folks over there. You find a way to get that done because of the fact of that. I think what Danny Ainge is doing over there, he's gonna try to do the same thing he did in Boston. It's gonna take a little time, but you have got. I don't care what it takes. I'm keeping Jaren Jackson behind over in Utah because, man. And then I heard there's a rumor going out that if it doesn't happen, which you can't because the trading deadline is done, but there's a potential thing that there might be a reunion of sorts. And I know you think I'm going to talk about LeBron. I'm not saying that, but the reunion is the possibility that Kawhi Leonard may be interested in going back to Toronto.
going back to Toronto, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dumpster fire there with the Clippers, with Harden leaving, and it doesn't seem like they're going to make any moves in the West, so he might as well go back east.
Yeah, but you do that Toronto, and then of course you bring out that too where you have Scotty, right? Scotty Barnes, and they have some players over there. Scotty Barnes, we got our boy over there, Jackson Davis. So there's a lot of potential pieces, and maybe what they need is somebody like Kawhi Leonard, and he's been there before, and I think he recognizes too that they're in the rebuilding process, and he probably needs to get away from that scandal as well, as far as what's going on. They still looking into investigating where he was getting stuff free allegedly for not doing anything. So maybe he needs to come and get away from that. Although he played his behind off in the All-Star game, right? I ran this in his place, but maybe it's time for a change.
They say you can't go home again, so you know he tried it didn't work out. They spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of money on those players trying to get a championship there. And sometimes it's just not about spending all that money. You got to get the chemistry of the team together in order to make a run. Turn it over to you, man. The Winter Olympics has come and gone. I haven't been following up with it, but turn it over to you, man. What's going on with the Winter Olympics?
Yeah, well, the first thing, it's over, and America finished second overall, right, in regards to the number of medals. They finished second when the leading country was Norway. So I don't think, for me, I guess it's like anything else with the networks and changing. We didn't get a chance to see, or I didn't get a chance to see all of the Olympics I would like to, because I love the downhill skiing. I love the figure skating. We saw the upset with the number one skater on figure skating or not getting that gold. And I think that I told you I would have that name is Ilya Malinin, and he was supposed to be the guy because he had done so much in the amateurs and whatnot, and he fell short because he got a little tight in the finals. But it happens. But we also saw where some of the U.S. women won. In bobsledding, they won silver. But the main thing, of course, would be that the men's hockey team won gold. It was the first time since Miracle on Ice. And that was a long time ago, the 80s. Yeah, so that was a long time. Kudos to them for that. And just in general, when you think about how the Olympics have changed. And there are some amazing feats, and we just want to give out some kudos to them about that, about how things have moved along. And I'll say this, I think I was going to say this before my last second shot. I kind of abbreviated on my last second shot. When I watched the Olympics, and maybe the reason why I like the Winter Olympics is, back in the day, I used to do a lot of sledding when it was really winter. And I used to look at that bobsled, and I'm like, in the right situation, I could have, you know. I wasn't able to go train in Colorado and get an opportunity because I was athletic. I could do the things. I saw how they train. I was like, I could, same way with golf. Like I saw all this golf, and I'm like, my dad was like, buy some golf clubs, and like again, I'll probably talk about some of my last second shot, but I just wanted to be a contender. I just wanted a shot, and I didn't have no shot. But kudos to the Winter Olympians who did their thing in America for at least winning in a few areas. So it was cool.
All right. Yeah, the Winter Olympics are not my jam. So I come from a tropical people. So I like the Summer Olympics. I like to be outside in the sun and the track and all that other stuff. So I used to watch as a kid because there was nothing really else on TV. You know, you had two or three channels and then the Olympics was on, I think ABC all the time, all day, every day for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
But as I got older, it was like, curling. I can't, that's a sport. There's a lot of stuff that they count as sports, and like, yeah, okay. And so I kind of got away from it, and then I got into basketball during that time, and so that was over for the Winter Olympics. But thank you for covering that. What's on your mind, son?
Yeah, what's on my mind is we had a situation recently, right, where we lost a young man, 25 years old. And when I say we, I talk about anybody that talks about sports, your heart has to go out when you hear like a tragedy about this. And I'm talking about Rondell Moore of the Minnesota Vikings, wide receiver, 25 years old. And apparently, there's speculation about his death, but he passed away, and they're thinking about it might have been self-inflicted. But 25 years old, was amazing high school talent coming out of Indiana, right? Had done some great things, and then of course went to Purdue and was the All-American or freshman of the year, if you will, as a freshman. Did some great things, moved on, got drafted by Arizona Cardinals. But to sum this all up, the point of it is that this young man at 25 years old seemed to have everything that he wanted. And as far as what you could want as an athlete, you have money. There were some injuries that he suffered, wasn't able to play all the time, kind of got hurt the last couple of years, but he seemed to have everything right at his disposal that a young person will want to have. You can take trips, do whatever you want to, move forward. Life is supposed to be grand, right? Playing, you're being paid for playing the game. Everything seemed to be right on point, but yet he's gone. He's gone, and it's such a damn tragedy. So I just want to just throw that out there. Kudos to his family, condolences to them. But we got to do better. We got to, I mean, and I told you earlier, we got to do better. We can talk about this if you want to, but it just breaks my heart for somebody that seemed to have it all together. And I don't know if there's any signs, was anybody paying attention, but we got to do better. Maybe when I say do better, I'm talking about us as a whole, as a community, as what's going on, people outside the sport, because they know with the sport how they roll, a lot of times how the things go. But somebody else had to give a damn about even somebody that has that kind of, because it's about anybody at 25 years old to be gone is such a tragic loss.
Check on your people, and mental health is serious. And I don't know if it was mental health. I don't know if it's CTE. I know we talked about it offline a little bit, but check on your people. Don't check on them just to get things from them. They may not be doing well mentally. Their moves. So check on people. And when you're in positions to help people, people think that you don't need anything, and you don't desire anything. You don't desire friendships and companionship and all that other stuff. Check on your people, just not for money and what you can get out of them, but what do they need? What do they truly need to help them survive? If a person's going through that, or they're going through any mental health crisis or trauma, it's real, folks. It's real. And so we really need to look out for people, look out for people who seem to be distant a little bit, or not wanting to kind of be around a lot of people, because in their quiet moments, they could be fighting demons. And sometimes, with some of the folks that we've seen in the past, the Dallas Cowboy football player that passed away last year, sometimes their demons went out. And so we got to make sure that we look after our people, check on our people. I check on Ice checks on me. And I got other folks that I check on. and talk to, and folks that will check on me. So you know, some people have a small circle, but make sure that who's ever in that circle you check on. I even check on the brothers, the brothers who adopted me, James and Scotty. So I'll send out a text or bro checks, whatever, to check up and see how people are doing. We got to check up on each other. This is what we're put on this earth for, is to take care of each other. Some people don't get that message, but I got that message loud and clear.
No doubt. No doubt.
Last second shot. You got a last second shot?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna go right back to my last second shot. My last second shot is I deserve better, damn it. I could have been an Olympian. I could have been an Olympian. I could have been an Olympian. I could have been a bobsled amazing player. I could have been a bobsledding talent. I could have been an amazing golfer, or at least competed. So I'm gonna tell this golf story real quick. So I used to watch golf when I was a kid. I used to watch it on TV, and I was like, man, maybe I could golf one day. And I knew it was expensive, so I'm like, my dad's like, we're not doing all that. I'm gonna help you though. I said, I really want to try golf because I saw people like Calvin Pete. I'm saying my age, Chichi Rodriguez, right? He used to do the little thing. I was like, oh man, damn, I could golf, right? Lee Elder. So anyway, so I thought about golfing, and my dad told me about, oh yeah. I said, I really want to golf. I said, can you get some clubs? He said, oh yeah, I got you. Man, I love my dad, love my father, love him to the end of the world. But my dad was very calculated, right? So if you told him you wanted something, he's gonna do his damnedest to get it for you. So I'm all excited. I'm like, I got some clubs coming. If I can get 3 clubs, I'm gonna learn how to hit the ball and everything. Long story short, so my dad says, I got you. So a little later in the day, dad come back and he hands me a golf club, or what he considered to be a golf club. My father was very intuitive when it came to things. He brings me back, right? A mop handle or a mop, the kind of like the stick. And he had cut part of the mop off. And he had made a like a little square, like kind of like a tri-square, taking that apart, put a nail inside the overall pole, if you will, and it had like a little square, so it was like that. And but it had an end on it, like a golf club, and you could swing it. And I looked at my father like, Dad, are you serious? And he goes, hey, that's a golf club. That's what you wanted. Oh, I was like, man, you got to be crapping me. And I was like, see what I'm talking about? That's why we can't. I was robbed. I was robbed. But you know what? The athlete in me, I'll tell y'all something. And my dad knew he just needed to open it up for me. So long story short, the athlete in me, we had maybe the stairs on our yard in the front yard with a railing in there. We had like maybe 8 steps, and then you go up towards the window. Had like some had like shutters on it, and but the lower it was like a little small flower bed. So I had a plastic ball, a little small plastic ball, and I would try to hit that ball up on the top of the stairs. And actually, after a while, I got pretty damn good at it. So I took that little stick, whatever the hell it was, with the mop, and I started making motions where I literally was placing that ball and putting. I was amazed. I was a natural. And I thought to myself, I was like, man, I'm pretty decent. I was sick because I still didn't get any golf clubs. So now when I progress to playing golf, I just think back like I could have been a contender. I could have been a contender. But thanks for even
I've
trying,
been
man. Appreciate you,
somebody.
brother. I could have been. I could have been imagine that. The first African American bobsledder and golfer all at once.
I know we're going to do a show when Ice comes back with the Major League Baseball report, but Bill Mazeroski, the man famously known for making Mickey Mantle cry, and the Pittsburgh Pirates won against the Yankees in the World Series in 1960, passed away. So I know we're going to do a story later on, but I just want to make that my last second shot just to tease folks who I know it was before my time. It's about 6 years before I was born, but I heard the stories because I'm a Yankee fan, and so I heard the the story of how he made Mickey Mantle cry. We'll be back next week. Take care. What's the buzz in Cleveland? They won 7 straight. So
Shit, I mean, they amped. I mean, and rightfully so. 7 straight was it 9 out of the last 10 or some shit like that?
something like that. But I hope they don't get their hopes too high in the playoffs when James Harden shows up.
Well,
That's
yeah,
gonna be a big letdown because
it
last year was a
is.
letdown. They thought last year was a letdown. When he starts turning into Mongo Slade, it's really gonna be a letdown.
I'll say this, and it'll be like how many times you got hit upside the head, right? So my thing is, maybe if he plays halfway and messes up, maybe
You're going back. You're going back. You're going back. I hear it. You're going back. You're going back. You're reverting back.
look, maybe Mitchell can step up now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. You're going back. I see it. I see it. I
no,
see it.
I ain't going back.
Yeah,
It
you're
is.
going back. Maybe and could be. And, oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not going back. It's gonna be what it is. But next year, if they get LeBron and they all play together, I'm just trying to help the people in Cleveland,